Good morning. So, as I was sitting outside, letting the dogs run around and have their morning activities in the yard, I had two birds appear, two sets of birds. So, there were two blue jays. And then immediately flying in and scaring off the blue jays were two crows. And I found it very interesting, the duality of both of those occurring in pairs instead of a single bird of either one. It just felt a little bit more than random. So I looked into the symbolism behind them, and this is the message that came through. First off, to start with the twos represent polarity, relationships, mirroring, and choice. The 2 plus 2 is mirrored systems running in parallel. So this is pointing to paired intelligences twice and configuration of those. So now I'm going to go through each of these symbols singularly, and then I'll put them together and tell you what the message is that was coming through from those. So to start with Blue jays are a symbol of expression, boundary, and enforcement. They are an assertive voice. They signal. They let people know, other things in nature know where the territory is, where the boundaries are, where the threats are. So they are all about voice and expression and boundary enforcement. They're closely associated, though not specifically associated, with Athena in the representation of voice and wisdom, because they're corvids, so they are very intelligent birds, which is why there is some loose symbolism connection with Athena, but also could be tied to Hermes in the expression and the use of voice. So they become a symbol of a voice that establishes territory and moves information, directed expression. When they are balanced, and I find it funny that the dogs are barking now, two dogs barking. When they are balanced, they are a voice that cuts through the noise. They are assertive truth, even if it disrupts harmony. They are boundary enforcement, sometimes aggressively, and they choose visibility. They symbolize visibility over likability. And that is when they are in balance. When they are in shadow, so when they are serving as a cognitive symbol of shadow traits, they are over signaling. They can be reactivity disguised as truth, such as like when someone is clinging to their wounds, have their identity in their wounds, and are claiming triggers without any internal regulation response, right? Expecting the world outside to rearrange around their triggers instead of regulating the nervous system within oneself. And then they also, when in shadow, are needing to be heard more than needing to be effective. And again, that signals to that speaking from triggers and wounds without any of the practices to regulate the nervous system independently. So with the two blue jays, it is a mirrored dynamic of voice versus voice. And this can be representative of oneself with another. And so like when you share a signal with another individual and it is your voice and their voice being communicated, or it is two parts of you both speaking at once. So some of that cognitive dissonance may be going on, or even two healed aspects that may have been cognitive dissonance before, such as when we are hearing the self-talk around a regulated nervous system paired with the signaling from our wounds and our triggering. Now on to the crows. They represent observation and pattern recognition, death, memory, pattern, and threshold. They are symbols of the god Odin and Apollo, and also represent the Morrigan, which leads to awareness that tracks patterns and recognizes transition points. When the crows are balanced, they offer strategic awareness, memory and pattern recognition, death and rebirth cycles, which is pattern collapse and reformation within the psyche, and collective intelligence. When they are in shadow, when they are not balanced within one's psyche, they can be symbols of hypervigilance, overanalysis that leads to paralysis, so where we create our own delays because we're overthinking and missing the opportunities to move because we talk ourselves out of our best thinking. They can also be holding on to past data instead of updating to present now reality. So they symbolize a mirrored dynamic of the observer versus the observer. Either someone watching you or two internal evaluation systems tracking everything. So what these are leading to and what the message is that you are in a state where part of you wants to speak, act, declare, and or disrupt. And part of you is watching, tracking, and calculating risk. Okay, so two systems operating at once. This is parallel processing. In the brain, this is actually really, really clever dynamics. Having that parallel processing engaged in a balanced way is highly functional. It can create cognitive dissonance when it isn't balanced. So this parallel processing is sequencing and regulation, not collapsing under pressure. Dual system mastery that is improving capacity. This is telling you that you have reached a point where you can direct your systems through language reliably. The way you talk to yourself, that's the blue jay part, and the way you observe and kind of metacognate, the way you think about your thinking and evaluate that. That practice that we have been working on with noticing prior to assigning meaning. Right? Noticing without automatically having to label something. So you're working on your self-talk quite effectively and knowing how to observe when that self-talk is aligned. I can't speak. Blue jay energy, I can't speak. But when you are aligned with your values and your goals and your objectives and being able to track the self-talk and the internal weather, your thought forms, and how they are lining up with what your visions are. So you are being shown and directed that you can gather clean data even under pressure, right? Because the blue jay brings the boundary enforcement, and the crows, especially with symbols of Odin, this is where you have made sacrifices in order to gain vision, that internal awareness. So you have both of those systems in balance right now. You are holding two relational dynamics or two internal operating systems at once in increased mastery and capacity. You have demonstrated stability under load. Both input and command are online, and neither is dropping under stress. You are maintaining accurate awareness and effective self-direction simultaneously under constraint. So you are no longer being moved by the storm. You are letting the wind swirl around you and being able to regulate internally in order to develop that clear vision and to know what thoughts and what expression to act from in more alignment with yourself. The only thing that matters now is consistency. Can you maintain this? So the question that we are being led to ask ourselves from this point forward is, can you reproduce this when it's harder, not just when it clicks? And this is bringing us into a state of operational readiness. Okay, it can also symbolize that in relationship dynamics with others, where when you are resonating at the same soul frequency with another, you are both able to balance that expression and observing with each other so that where one is in their expressive state, the other one is observing and then formulating a response and being able to express themselves. So there's a harmony and a balance within relationships right now. So really strong mirroring energies, which is telling me that what you have achieved inside yourself is starting to rise and meet you in your external. And that you have that operational readiness means that you are no longer shrinking or collapsing, avoiding, running from, or delaying your own progress just because the reality outside of you isn't reflecting what you want to achieve now. You have the ability to recognize that your current present reality has been shaped by past choices, and that you are aligning your actions with a future vision for yourself and what you want, and being able to drop into the body in the now moment and see how those two are operating in this now moment, and align yourself in response to the reality that is, holding a vision for what will come. That is operational readiness. And I am so happy to see that symbolism come up, to be able to hold a dual expressive and a dual observer state is really advanced metacognition. It's the balancing of both hemispheres. It's a balancing of both the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems. It is managing your brain waves and your heart frequencies so that your waveforms are operating in coherence. No longer dependent on what is going on outside of you in order to achieve validation and stability. You have reached a point of resiliency, adaptability, and the capacity that is needed to carry you forward. So I really wanted to come on and share those symbols that were rising up today. I am so excited for you. That was a great message to receive. And I really, really hope that you carry a bit of pride for yourself and the hard work that you have done in facing these shadow aspects within yourself, and not running from them, not shaming them, not guilting them or denying them, but incorporating them, learning to see the strengths that they were, because all of our shadow aspects were survival skills. They just got it fixed in place when the context no longer required them anymore. And now you are able to intentionally utilize them, recognize them, and apply them to your lived experience now in a way that is actually going to carry you forward. You have a great vision for yourself and your life and who you are becoming. That is what that tells me. And I am so very proud of you. And I am so excited for you. And I am so grateful for the opportunity to witness your expansion. I send you my love.